In 2009, I enrolled in a graduate course about communication theory. The first handout had an excerpt, my first encounter with the many ways we can study how we communicate with each other. I had no idea I was on a journey towards something much larger than I expected. But I became more aware that words can often help us make sense of these sorts of things. I began to see that language itself, which I'd taken for granted for so long, was a key force in the way I saw reality.
Imagine that you enter a parlor. You come late, then you arrive, others have long preceded you, and they're engaged in a heated discussion. A discussion too heated for them to pause and tell you exactly what it is about. In fact, the discussion had already begun long before any of them got there, so that no one present is qualified to retrace for you all the steps that had gone before. You listen for a while until you decide that you have caught the tenor of the argument. Then you put in your oar. Someone answers, you answer him. Another comes to your defense. Another aligns himself against you, to either the embarrassment or gratification of your opponent, depending upon the quality of your ally's assistance. However, the discussion is interminable. The hour grows late. You must depart. And you do depart, with the discussion still vigorously in progress.
Okay, this clearly could be seen as a metaphor. We enter and exit life into conversations that came before us and will still go on after us. We just get the privilege of dipping our oar or lending our voice in at some point. It was written by a man named Kenneth Burke. And like anything you experience for the first time, I had no idea how influential he would be on me. I thought about ways I might share how his insights helped me see the world in a new way. Up to this point, that had only been a few of his quotes used to support my argument in academic papers, which is fine for those in the academic world, but I wasn't so sure if that would work beyond that.
Oh, hey, I haven't talked to you in a long time. You want me to what? Read one of your communications papers? Oh, sure. How many pages is it? Wow, that's ambitious.
Okay, so distributing my papers probably wouldn't work outside a few patient family members. Or maybe not. What about a movie? I've always loved those. Maybe a documentary about his life would work. Kenneth Duval Burke was born in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, on May 5th, 1897, the son of... Alright, we've all seen documentaries like this. So-and-so was born at this date, take us through their formative years, and interview a bunch of talking head types about significant life events that made this person noteworthy in human history.
And it was precisely that reason he became one of the most important and influential people of his time.
No, I don't think a documentary like that would get across what I'd like to get across. Besides, even though Kenneth Burke was born on May 5th, 1897, less than 2 years earlier, and many miles away, another person was born who would be highly influential on the way I see things. Okay, this obviously isn't his baby picture, but it is a picture of Mikhail Mikhailovich Bakhtin. Like Burke, he had some useful ways of seeing how the way we use language directs the way we see reality, especially when we dialogue with each other. So by now, maybe you can see my dilemma. Making a movie about two people who provided theories about the way we use language and its impact. Well, it's a bit of a challenge. But my biggest fear is that by now anyone watching looks like this. In fact, I admit this isn't the kind of movie Hollywood is dying to make. So I know you're a big movie producer, so I know you don't have a lot of time. Thanks for meeting with me. Here's my idea. It's about two guys, Kenneth Burke He's a college dropout, but became a celebrated academic writer and rhetoric scholar. Lived through 2 world wars and the Great Depression. And a little side trivia, he was folk singer Harry Chapin's grandpa. Then there's this other guy, Mikhail Bakhtin. He was politically oppressed after the Russian Revolution, lost a leg to bone disease, miraculously survived Stalin's purges of academic types, and he had one of his completed manuscripts burned by the Nazis in World War II. But the movie's really about how these theories from these two men have contributed to the way others, especially myself, see how language determines reality for us, for better or for worse. I mean, that's important, right? So I have my work cut out for me, and it's at this point that I'd like to issue a thank you for sticking it out this far. To understand how language helps determine how we establish and re-establish our sense of reality, I think we should define who we are. And for that, I would like to start with Kenneth Burke's own definition of man.
I'm offering my definition of man in the hope of either persuading the reader that it fills the bill or of prompting him to decide what should be added or subtracted, in some way modified.
I'm glad Burke granted the ability to modify his definition, since man was a term once used to describe all humanity, both men, women, and other. But I want to ensure that Burke's definition is inclusive to all, and not defining what men do. So let's start again. Okay, hopefully that works for everybody.
Humans are the symbol-using animal.
Okay, even Burke admits this isn't a groundbreaking insight, but it serves as a good starting point. We are symbol-using animals, which can easily be seen in the seemingly endless diversity of languages and signs used all over the planet. From symbols that provide direction like a street sign, to whatever this symbol might mean, to simple declarative statements to let others know that Mr. Bubbles was here on this date. We develop and share symbols that help us understand the world around us as we experience it. But things aren't always so easy. Take, for instance, the word duck. This is a duck, this is a duck, this is a duck, this is a duck, and this is a duck. One symbol, the word duck, yet many different possible meanings. Duck is a relatively simplistic example, but the fact that different meanings can arise through our symbol systems is a big deal. Just how big a deal is it? Burke often used birds as a comparative to humans, and I have a scenario of my own to show why different meanings are a big deal. Okay, bird language as I imagine it probably isn't confusing among birds. A chirp to alert other birds of danger, though, is likely reduced to a general warning of danger somewhere, applicable to many situations, but never really specific to the danger in question, such as, "Hey, look out for that gray cat lurking nearby." It's here that I only meant to show that for humans, multiple meanings and interpretations are always possible.
Animals do not use words about words, as with the definitions of a dictionary.
We may be the symbol-using animal, but our symbols can include symbols about symbols. A dictionary is one example. We have words that help to describe other words. For a bird, the expanse of available chirps indicating danger may be few, especially compared to human concepts of danger, such as the military warning system of DEFCON 1 through DEFCON 5. Another thing Burke noted about our use of symbols is that when encountering something new, we often use symbols that typically represent other things to describe and provide context about the new thing.
I totally have to tell you about my favorite new band.
Oh, cool. I was hoping to hear something new.
They're called Steak Dinner, and I think you're going to love them.
Oh.
So imagine if the Beatles and Run DMC had a baby.
Okay.
With a little sprinkle of Jimi Hendrix and Adele on top. That's totally what they sound like.
Wow. I could totally hear that. I love Jimi Hendrix. Steak dinner sounds promising.
As symbol users, we can often symbolically make use of other objects to represent a concept. Like, say, when you bore your children with a representation of the solar system.